Hi everyone, my name is Rajesh Srivastava. I'm a solutions architect at Google. Today I'm going to show you a demo of migrating an Oracle database into Cloud SQL PostgreSQL database. For this demo, we'll be doing both data migration as well as Oracle server-side code migration. For the demo, we'll be using 3 steps. First step is the schema conversion and creation of that schema in the PostgreSQL database. For that, we will be using Ora2PG tool. Second step is the data migration. For that, we will be using our database migration service. And the third step is the Oracle server-side code migration, that is stored procedures, packages, functions, etc. And for that, we will be using our CompilerWorks product. Now, database migration service is undergoing enhancements. So ultimately, these 3 steps will be better integrated in the product, and you will have a more seamless and a better integrated migration experience. But for today, we will be using these 3 separate steps. Another point to keep in mind is that Oracle and PostgreSQL are 2 different database engines. So it is a heterogeneous migration. So you also need to consider the design and configuration and performance optimization specific to the target environment. So with that said, let's start the demo. So as I said, the first thing to do is the schema conversion. Before I do that, let me show you what do I have for my environments. For the source, I have Oracle database. I have an Oracle database running on Compute Engine VM. And the schema we are going to migrate is demo1 schema. And I have a script that shows the details of the schema that we'll be migrating. So here you can see we have, these are the objects we have in the schema. We have 8 tables, 1 view, and 3 procedures. This is what we are interested in during the migration. And we also have 19 indexes in this schema. I've also listed out the names of the procedures that we will be, procedures and the view that we will be migrating. And also have listed out the count star for a couple of tables. So as you can see, for employees table, we have 107 records. For departments table, we have 27 records. And for one table, regions table, I have listed the entire table. It has only 4 records, only 2 columns. And you can see we have records for a region ID 1 through 4. And after the migration, we'll validate that in the PostgreSQL database. For the PostgreSQL, our database is running in under Cloud SQL. And right now, there is no schema, demo1. So I'm going to create that schema. How the schema is created, and you can see there are no tables yet. And obviously, there is no view yet. Now let's go ahead and do our first step, that is the schema conversion. So this is my migration server. This is from here I can connect to my source database. I can connect to my destination Postgres database. I also have Ora2PG installed, and I have CompilerWorks installed on this server. So from here I can do most of my migration tasks. So for schema conversion, you will be running the Ora2PG command. It's a very simple command. You just have to pass a configuration file, and I will show you that configuration file. So there are only a few variables you need to worry about. So there is an Oracle DSN that tells the tool how to connect to the Oracle database. It has the host name and the SID and the port number, which is 8000 in my case. That's where Oracle Listener is running. Then there is Oracle user and password that the tool will be using to connect. Schema is demo1. That's the schema for which I want to generate the DDLs. And the output file, this is the output file it's going to use for writing the DDLs into. So, and you can check the other variables. If you needed to change anything, you could do that. So after I ran this, I have file generated, and I can show you that file. So it generates this file. That's a DDL for running into the PostgreSQL database. As you can see, it has the create table, create index statements. It generates it in the right order So as you can see, the foreign key constraints, it's adding in the end. So you can just go ahead and you should be able to run the script as it is in the PostgreSQL database. Now we will go ahead and we will actually run this in the Postgres database. So here, let me go ahead and I have already copied that. Once I run it, it creates tables and indexes. Now if I go and check at the 8 tables in the schema, there are still no views because the view we will be doing the code conversion using CompilerWorks. Now we have created the schema. So the second step is to create the database migration job. So for that, we will go to the Google Cloud Console. This is the main screen. If you just type in database, it shows database migration. You can click on database migration, and you'll get to the main screen of database migration service. Now it has 3 steps. As you can see on the left side, from bottom to top: connection profiles, conversion workspace, and migration jobs. First, we'll have to create connection profiles for the source and for the destination. I've already created it. For the source, I have my Aura1, and you can see the details such as hostname, port, username. Using this information, you will be able to create your source connection profile. For destination also, I have my Postgres1, and you can see the similar information over here. At the bottom, it shows if this connection profile is being used in some migration jobs, it will show you the list of those jobs. The next step is to create a conversion workspace. What the conversion workspace is this is what the database migration service uses to create the mapping between the source database and the target database. And it uses that for conversion. So we'll go ahead and create a new workspace, and I'll give it a name. Let me call it demo workspace 1. Region is US Central 1. That's where my source and target databases are. Source database engine is Oracle. Target database engine, destination database engine is Cloud SQL for PostgreSQL. Then it asks you to review some prerequisites. There is one for Aura to PG migration tool. You can go ahead and check it out and make sure that you have configured all those steps. Same about the Oracle source. You can check it out. It tells you that the Oracle database needs to be running in archive log mode. You need to enable supplemental logging for the tables you want to migrate. So you can check those details, make sure that you have configured that. We have already done that. So we'll go ahead and create the workspace and continue. Now it asks for the connection profile. For the source connection profile, we'll pick the MyAura1. You can go ahead and run a test to make sure that connection profile works and that DMS is able to connect to source database. The test passed. For configuration file, now it asks for the Aura to PG configuration file. So here is we have to provide the configuration file that we used for the schema conversion. So I've already downloaded that aura2pg.conf. So I'm going to select that. Once I have selected that configuration file, I can pull the schema and convert. I can ask it to pull schema and convert. So once we do that, it goes through a few steps. It actually connects to the source and seeds the schema. It creates a mapping and it converts the schema. So as you can see, it has already completed 2 steps. It finished doing the conversion. We can go ahead and we can save. And this completes the conversion workspace. And here also at the bottom, it will show you the list of migration jobs where this conversion workspace is used. Now the next step is creating a migration job. So we'll go ahead and create a new migration job. Let me name it demo migration 1. Now, source database engine is going to be Oracle. Target database engine is selected as Cloud SQL or PostgreSQL. Migration job type is continuous. What it means is that it is going to set continuous replication between the source database and the target database, and it is useful for minimizing downtime during cutover. And here also you have a list of prerequisites. You can go ahead and check that for Conversion Workspace and for Cloud SQL for Postgres. And for Oracle Source, we have already done that. So make sure that you fulfill these requirements, and then we can go ahead and save and continue. Now we have to provide the source connection profile. We'll provide the same one that we had created, my Aura one. Destination profile, the same one. We'll select my Postgres one. And then we'll go ahead and save and continue. Once we have done that, it asks for Conversion Workspace. So we'll go ahead and select the one that we just created, which is Demo Workspace 1. And once you select that, it actually goes, connects to the source, and it pulls all the schemas and objects that it has access for migration. And it will show you the list of those schemas and the objects. And then we'll be able to pick our demo and schema that we want to migrate. So once it does that, once it displays it, we can select it and we can proceed. And this thing might take a few seconds. So actually, it's already complete. So since it's already complete, we will go ahead and we'll select the demo and schema. And it shows the list of the tables. If you wanted to migrate only selective tables, only a few of these tables, we could do that, but we want to migrate the entire schema. So we'll select the demo one and we go ahead and we'll save and continue. Once we have done that, we can go ahead and test this job. It takes a couple of seconds to do the test. And once it's complete, we have two options. We can either create the job and we can start it later, or we can create and start the job at the same time. So what we are going to do is we are going to create and start the job at the same time. So first it will create the job, and then it will start it. And then when it started, it will show the status as running. And this might take a minute or two. It initializes all the process and sets everything up. So it might take a couple of minutes. So what we are going to do is that while it's, so now the job is created, but you can see that it's in the starting status. So it's not running yet. So what we will do is while it's doing its thing, we can go ahead and we can start doing our code conversion. So for code conversion, let's go to this is where I have CompilerWorks installed. And the installation is very simple. You will receive a tar file, and actually a zipped tar file, which you can unzip it, and then you'll get the tar file. And you can simply untar it in the directory where you want to install it. So I just untarred it right here, and it installed in the directory called CompilerWorks directory. That's where all the subdirectories are and all the installation files are. And then after that, there are two directories. There is an input directory, there is output directory. It reads all the code files from the input directory, and corresponding code generated code files or converted code files, it creates in the output directory. So let's go and see what we have in the input directory. So in the input directory, we have two files right now. We are interested in the demo one. There is another schema HR. We are not really interested in that, but I'll leave it in there and let it execute. So let me show you what it is going to convert. So this is the code from Oracle schema. So that's the procedure and the view code. So you can generate it in multiple ways. I have used DBMS metadata package from Oracle to generate this, and it's very simple to do that. You can use DBMS metadata, or you can use Oracle Data Pump, or you can use your own custom scripts. But you need to generate this from the Oracle database for the code that you want to convert. And then we'll go ahead and take a look in the output directory. And right now, we have nothing in the output directory. So let's go back in the main directory, and then there is a script called run.sh that we will also provide to you. And the only thing you have to change here is the third line where you specify where CompilerWorks software is installed. So we put that directory in there. Rest you can leave it default unless you need to change Java options or anything else. But you can leave it to default. It executes two commands. There's a transfile command that will do the code conversion, and then there's a report analyzer, which analyzes and produces a report for errors and any other messages, and we'll show it. We'll see it after we have run, after our execution. So let's go ahead and run this command. Once we run it, it will read all the files from the input directory, and for every file, it will generate a corresponding file in the output directory. And here you can see our task is already running. Now, while it's running, so this thing is complete, the CompilerWorks conversion is complete, and we'll come back and we'll check it out. In the meantime, let's, in the Oracle database, so what happens is the database migration service uses data stream underneath for the CDC replication, which uses Oracle's log miner interface, and it reads archive log files. It does not read the online redo log files. So if there are any new changes that happens in the database, unless the log file is archived, it won't get captured. So what we are going to do is to test that part also. Let me go ahead and create a new record into regions table. I'll create a region ID 5. We have 4 records. And I'll say the name as Antarctica. Who knows, we will get there someday too. So once we have created it, I'm going to commit it, and I'm going to switch the log file. So this will make sure that any new changes, even this change, gets propagated and gets replicated so that the DMS can create this record also in the PostgreSQL database. So we are done with this. Now let's go ahead and see what happened with our code. So it ran, it displays all these messages, and you can see it read 2 files, it says, and it has 2 critical errors. And we'll go ahead and see that. But before that, let's go ahead and see what has it generated. In the output directory, we have 2 files now. So for the demo and schema and for the HR schema. And we are only interested in the demo and schema. And here I have checked through all this. So it generated the code for PostgreSQL. It puts a drop procedure statement first. Then it creates a procedure, says language is equal to PLPG SQL. So you'll be able to run this code in Postgres. And once we see the report analyzer, we'll see that sometimes CompilerWorks is not able to convert every single line. So it puts the error out there, and you'll see that in report analyzer also. So here I have already checked it. As you can see there, this the line number 21 is there is an error which is unimplemented. So I'm going to manually, this is Oracle exception process. So I'm going to manually put a line, raise notice, line that will work in Postgres. I'll say exception occurred. And then I'm going to comment this line. And I have verified that there are no other errors here. In the end, you can see the view code is also there. So there is code for 3 procedures and 1 view in this file. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now let's see the report analyzer. the report that it produced. So this at the top, it has information about the two files. It has two critical errors total. Say one was in the demo one file, another one is the HR code file, and the one in the demo one file that we already fixed. This is the error that we fixed. And if you go down, there are some more messages you will see. For example, say relations not found, no relation employees. So this is for the fact that we were only converting the procedure, only the code. We did not have tables in the code file or in the input file. So it did not find a reference for this table. But it's not a problem for us because we are only using it for code conversion. So we have generated the code. Now we can go ahead and we can run that code here in the Postgres database. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. So it creates all the objects. The error that you see is because the drop procedure statement failed because the procedure wasn't existing when we started. Now I can go ahead and I can do the checks. I have 8 tables. I have a view which just got created, and I have I have 3 procedures that we just created. So we have all that information here, and I also have this script called similar script that we ran in Oracle. Okay, so it's the same script that we run here too, and you can see. So you can see the count of the tables in employee table. We have 107 records. In the department table, we have 27 records. And for the procedures, we have the 3 procedures. And for the regions table, we have 5. We have the 5 records here. So if we go ahead and we can compare that side by side with the Oracle, you can see it matches. So we have 107 tables in employees, 27 tables in department, the 5 records, the 5th record that we created with Antarctica that also got populated here in the PostgreSQL. And we have 3 procedures, and a view that we already verified. So we have everything migrated, all the data migrated, all the objects migrated, and code also got converted. Now we have created the procedures. How do we know that? How do we know that procedure actually works? So there is a procedure called top salaries here. What it does, it creates a cursor and it scans the employee table and picks up the top 10 salaried employees and populates those records in the top EMP salaries table. Right now you can see that table is empty. So we can go ahead and we can run that procedure. Once we have run that, we will go ahead and we will execute this statement again. And now you can see it populated the table with top 10 salaried employees from 1 through 10. So, and it does exactly the same thing that it did in the Oracle database. So we have verified that the procedure, not only the code got converted and got created, but it also actually executes and it provides the same functionality. And obviously, it's a simple procedure that we have tested. And in your case, you'll have to do more testing for your code. So we have migrated the database. We went through the schema conversion and schema creation using Ora2PG. Went through the data migration using database migration service, and we went through the code conversion using CompilerWorks. So this is how we will do the Oracle to PostgreSQL migration as it is today. And as I mentioned in the beginning, don't forget to do any. Keep in mind that Oracle and PostgreSQL are two different database engines. So just like schema and data migration may not be the best configuration for the target environment. So make sure that you configure the target environment for your workload and do the performance optimization steps that you need to do for the target environment. So with that said, I will say have a good day and thank you.